Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we've got something different for you guys. Today we're going to be doing a terrain building. Now this is a project I've been wanting to do for a while, where I craft a new board for boarding action, because I do like boarding action. My old terrain is fine, but it was more designed for Zone Mortalis, and now the rules have updated to GW's new boarding action. So we're going to come up with a board that works for boarding action, but also a 2,000 point game of Warhammer 40k. So dive in, we're keep it nice, short, and sweet. Thank you to all of you who support us here, whether it's a Shopify, purchase, Etsy, membership, just liking, subscribing, all that stuff really allows us to keep doing what we're doing. And today's sponsor is Tabletop Terrain. I reached out to them to help us get some awesome stuff here to make this project possible. So with that, let's dive into the video. So I've set up this board, and something just didn't quite seem right here. The terrain is great. Terrain is GW terrain, older 8th edition GW terrain. And the mat is something, I don't know, I'll try and see if I can find the link. I bought it many, many years ago. And it was supposed to be to recreate Zone Mortalis in what they had is the Forge World, old boarding action type stuff. So these were all designed 2-inch walls, 2-inch thick walls, the way boarding action was done, old boarding action type stuff. But now with the new boarding action, it doesn't quite work out the same because the walls are a lot thinner. My walls, I can't make the new layouts the same way. And I thought, you know, let's use this terrain for a 2,000 point game with this mat. Again, the boarding action stuff that I currently have doesn't really work for the 2,000 point setup either. So my goal is, could I find a way to not use this terrain, save it for a different board, but make a cool boarding action style terrain for 2,000 points. And for those of you who are wondering, this is what my boarding action terrain looked like. So I had these big thick columns, you know, they fit perfectly here. Again, this was for Zone Mortalis in the older days. Then we have walls. I had 2 section, 1 sections, and then I had doors. I had single doors and double doors. They slide up just like they did. All 3D printed, designed by me. Nothing fancy, but it was what it was. And then I didn't finish with all of them, but I had magnet holes so I could magnetize all of the pieces together. But yeah, so that's what I was working with. But I need to go to something a little bit better. So I needed to find online some company, some product that could assist me, and that's where Tabletop Terrain came in today. I needed some help coming up with what was going to replace my old Zone Mortalis terrain, getting to boarding action, and I found a company and reached out to them. This is Tabletop Terrain. You'll see over here plenty of their stuff. I worked out, so they're today's sponsor. Awesome company, a lot of cool terrain, all 3D printed, FDM style printing, so not the resin stuff, but it is perfect for terrain. I reached out to them about their Gothic Navy boarding action compatible set, and they sent me a little care package here to show off what they've got and what they can make. And now, when we open this, I'm going to show you exactly how I plan to do this. So in here, lots of bubble wrapped pieces. We've got a whole bunch of walls, more walls. We've got caps for the pillars. We've got some pillars. Where are the pillars? We've got some pillars. There we go. There's a lot more of those in here, and some area terrain stuff. So I'll show you a quick bit of a close-up here. So here are the walls. The pillars. They've got some interlocking pieces. This bottom we are going to utilize for our own purposes. So we get a whole bunch of them. I don't remember the number that this came with, but it is enough for the project we are working on today. So here's some of the walls. You can see they've got great detail in there. Exactly what you want for terrain. Detailed, but not too much detail where you feel like you have to paint it for ages. But good terrain. There are some door panels, so if you're actually playing boarding action, you can use the doors as they are intended. This has a ton of doors. There's a cool like generator looking piece here. But ton and ton of walls, saving the awesome bubble wrap, more pillars. Here's one of my old Black Dragon Marines from Kill Team. Right here. So you can see how tall these walls are. They're a good height, but they're not exactly what we want when you're looking at a 2,000 point game. Move that out of the way. So what we need to do is stack it up to be a little taller. And what we have to do now is I need to figure out a way to make a little spacer to build this a bit taller. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on the computer, see what I can design and print, and we'll be back with that. We've gone ahead and we've got our little bit here that we 3D printed. Turned out perfectly, only took me a few tries. But we can now take these wall pieces together and we can put this cap on here for the bottom floor. It snaps in there perfectly. And then we can take another pillar and easily stack it on top. And now that's one nice solid connection here. And what we can do is take this and turn this into a ruin. So here is your big L, and I have gone ahead and made an L out of that for you guys. So we can set it up here on the table, and bam, you've got an L for a ruin here. And we'll compare it to a couple models. So here you can see, here's the size compared to a Space Marine. Here it is compared to a Pyrovore, and will even go as big as here it is to a Tyrannofex. So Tyrannofex can sit comfortably behind. If I take control of the camera and show you guys what it does look like down at the level there, you can just ever so slightly see the Tyrannofex over the top. And now, if this was my house rules, which it will be my house rules, I would not say you can shoot the Tyrannofex from here. That is bad. Would not do that. You could if you really wanted to, and I guess I didn't even consider this when I was doing this. You could take apart, pop these off, and if you wanted to, you could go one level even higher. Now, I don't know if I have enough pieces to really go one level higher like that on this whole board, nor do I think it is necessary. But if you want to and you want to buy more of the terrain, then by all means, you can reach out and ask if you can get extras, and you can build this as tall as you want. That's the main purpose here that I was going for. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to build all of the terrain, make sure we have enough in terms of what to work with, and then I'm going to have to get in and paint this. We're going to do a very simple paint job. I'll show obviously my steps of how I'm doing it, but I'm thinking it's going to be down dirty, get it out of the way with. Maybe we'll pick out some fun details because we do want it to look nice for you guys on the battle reports when we film this, but at the same time, I don't want to spend all day on this terrain. It is a lot of terrain, so any way to speed up as best as possible. So with that, let's dive into the painting portion. Before I get any further, I am not an expert on painting terrain. This is not going to be some high quality review. I'm simply going to show you what I've done. So here I've got a sample piece of the wall. I've got a sample column that I've put my extra spacer bit on. I've already gone ahead and painted this. Right here you can see it's just a cap for this when it's all said and done. And I have painted all of the terrain. These are the last two pieces, so while I do this, I can kind of talk about things I like and don't like from the process I did. first and foremost, you will see me on this thick piece of cardboard. I do like using this when I paint terrain. It's not thin enough where it's going to fall apart, and I can just be messy on this surface. So it's something I like to do. I still have paper towel and stuff for cleaning and wiping, but in terms of when it comes to dry brushing and just rubbing stuff off, this is what I like. So what you'll need, you need a big brush, not your nicest of brushes, but not the messiest of them for applying base. You will need one nicer one for when you go through the details. Again, not your nicest brush, but a nicer one. And I like to untrain. These are makeup sponges. It's kind of, you can use a dry brush instead, but for this, I wanted to try these a bit more for dabbing on and a little bit of dry brushing. And I actually quite like them. So we use those for here. You can get these, I don't know, my wife picked them up for me. It's like probably $10 for a huge bag of these things, and they last a while. So that's what we got. So what we're going to do here, we got some paints, of course. So the main two colors you're going to need are Warplock Bronze. I'll put them in the description. These are all GW paints, or Citadel, I guess, whatever. And Lead Belcher. Those are your primary two colors you need for this. There are various details and stuff on the walls that you can paint other colors. And what you'll need, or what I am using for those, is a white. Right now, Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White is my favorite white, so I have that. Otherwise, it's Warp Lightning for a green. I have a Killian green, which is actually a blue, even though of the name. I've got a Black Templar one. I've got a Blood Angels red contrast, Gore Grunt of Fur as a contrast, and finally I end in yellow for the lights and stuff. And then there is one more paint we're going to use. It's not a GW one more texture. Again, you don't have to do it, but it's something I have recently picked up, and this is the perfect time to mess with it, but that'll be done in the next step. So let's just get off and going. What I have done is so we'll start by base coating these parts completely in the Warplock Bronze. Now, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on Warplock Bronze, because it is a more expensive paint, and you will go through, if you use this whole set, you will probably go through close to 2 pots of this stuff. So it gets a little expensive. Just thin the paint a little bit here, and we're just gonna base it. If you don't want to use Warplock Bronze, find a dark brown or something of like a craft paint and use that as your base coat. That actually might be cheaper and more effective. Still use it the same way. We're just base coating the whole thing in this brown. But really what we want is this brown color is going to give us an undertone of, kind of a rusty, old-aged metal color. Instead of having to wash the whole thing in Agrax Earthshade or something like that, because that is also messy and it takes a while, and, well, you can do it. This method just seems to be a lot quicker and cleaner and neater for me. So get it in all corners, and you're going to have, something like this. Once you've finished applying the Warplock Bronze on here, you let it sit, and it, takes 5-10 minutes to dry, depending on how thin your layer was to get on here. But for me, the columns got a little bit left to dry, but we're good to go on to this. So now we're going to go into the next step. Next step is also quite simple. This is going to be the dry brushing step. I'm going to use Lead Belcher. Use whatever metallic you like, but a nice heavy base metallic is good. And I am essentially just going to scoop some of it onto my jumbo palette here, and I'm going to add a little drop of water into here. Just kind of work it in a little bit. Maybe actually need a little bit more. There we go. A little bit more water. And what we're going to do is you're going to kind of dry brush, just brush down like this, like you would be dry brushing, and that's going to catch all of the raised edges. But then also, what you're going to want to do, need a little bit more on here, is you get to the panel and you're just going to kind of dab. And you can see you're building up that metallic color. Do not try and get it in all of the recesses. Stick to the main center points of the panels. If you get into some recesses, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, keep away from the recesses. And then on all the components, just cover it as you see fit. Again, it's up to you how aged you want this to look. We are going to go through and age it a little bit more later. But there you can see, very easy in just 2 steps, you've got an aged bit of panel here. And same thing with the columns now. I'm going to drag down. And on the columns, I don't want to really dab on the inside. You can if you want, but I'm not really looking to dab on the inside. I'm just looking to dab on the bottom here to build up that base. And we'll leave all of that aging in the column like that. So again, you're really just kind of going down, maybe dab lightly so you don't get it stuck on the recesses. But there, just like that, you have a nice, good, quick looking piece of terrain here. The secret weapon, Down Dirty Rust, or Dirty Down Rust. Sorry if I said it wrong earlier. Now, mine looks like it's taken a bit of a rough time. I don't know exactly. I think it should still be fine. This is how mine arrived from the company, unfortunately. It looks like just a little bit leaked out the side. Anyway, what I've done is I've gone ahead. I've got the parts here. I have taken a heat gun, or you could use a blow dryer to it, because one thing it says is that both should be warm when you apply, both the surface and the material. So I've taken a blow dryer heat gun to it, and I don't know what to expect. I have seen online that you should probably go in layers. Now I probably should be using a different brush here, but we're just gonna go for it, because why not? There we go. We're gonna make this look rusty. I'm gonna put it where, yeah, I assume some rust will build up. I think logically rust will probably build up down below. You can thin things out a little bit. Smell quite interesting. Not bad, but interesting. Maybe get some rust effect going in here. And they do say if you want it to build up, add some extra layers. So I've painted this kind of all over, as you can see. I didn't want to go too crazy, but I wanted to add it so it's, you know. Does that show up on camera all that well? There we go. Oh, there's some light. There we go. So it's here. Here is where I really like it, kind of in some of these grates and stuff. The door, you can see it pretty well. Again, I'm not looking for a super rusty sort of situation, but something that is just enough to kind of accent the old aged material that we've already been working with. So I'm happy with how this has turned out. I'll probably go ahead and do it to the rest of the terrain, and then we are done, and it's just to put it all on the table and get it to be one big terrain piece, all said and done. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll be back with the final showcase. And we're back for the final showcase. So here's all of the terrain out on the table. I've set up using Mission 6 from the Pariah Nexus tournament pack. It came together as a whole better than I could have imagined. We'll show you a bit of a top down here so you can see the terrain templates are just my own, and then these crates that you see on the small things are 3D printed of my own. But this stuff is here, fully customizable. Let me give you a little bit of a free cam, and you can just walk around and see what this terrain looks like on the battlefield. Again, the mat I'm using, I don't remember exactly where it came from because I got it many, many years ago, but it works perfectly to go along with this terrain. And yes, this terrain, remember, it can be used for standard boarding action. It comes apart nice and easy. You just start popping pieces off and taking things apart and reassembling in boarding action style. So you can have yourself a perfect game of boarding action or 2,000 points, one set of terrain to cover it all. So again, thank you to Tabletop Terrain for sending us this terrain to help me work with this project. It's something I've had in the back of my mind for a while, and I'm happy to see it fully on the table in its whole glory, and allow us to provide some more variety for you guys here on the channel, because now this gives us a wide variety of terrain. We've got a desert city, we've got a Mars city, we've got a jungle city, we've got this boarding action style one, we've got some other ruined cities of different styles and colors. So I'm really glad to have this one help round out our collection here, and it actually brings us up to 8 different tables worth of terrain, enough to host a small tournament as well. So thank you, Tabletop Terrain. Check out their links down below in the description. We don't get anything here at the channel specifically for it, but we want to direct you towards their awesome terrain because it is really cool stuff, and I'm happy to see how it came together, and I'm looking forward to maybe using some more of it in the future. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.